has to go into the place of absolute quietude, where the mind is not talking,
Mm-hmm.
and the body can just come into rest at the deepest level, at the electromagnetic level. And suddenly a whole different world of expansion opens up. Your consciousness expands because it becomes in tune with what we've already identified as what could be called earth consciousness.
Definitely.
The point is you tap into something that's so big. The earth is much bigger than you as a physical human being, so your perception of that expansion seems infinite.
And at the same time, it's a reflection of who we are.
It's a reflection of just peace and love.
Absolutely.
Well, if everybody was sitting in that place or walking around the world in that place, the whole world would change. The entire economy would collapse.
Mm-hmm.
Because this fear needs driven thing wouldn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, things would change pretty quick.
Well, we have two people here.
Homeless people would move into those 3 million houses that are vacant in the United States.
Well, without being persecuted. They are doing that.
Nobody would be there to collect rent.
But
they'd be there to help maintain the house, though.
I mean, we have two people here right now who believe that this is possible. So that's a step in the right direction.
It's just I know it's possible. It's just not even really a question for me if it's possible. It's like it can happen. It happens on small scales all the time.
Yes.
It happens on the individual level. It happens in some small groups. It happens.
Yes.
The alternate happens more often because that's the habit of the mind. We call it the human condition.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not the human condition. It's not like we're born that way. We were conditioned. Yes, that's the right word.
Yes.
We were conditioned. It's a habit pattern. It's not a reality that we're doomed to, and that is what free will is about, is like deciding to come out of it.
Good point.
And people are doing it to a certain degree all the time. They're chasing their tails trying to make money, though, because it feels like you need a lot in order to survive. But I know for a fact, having lived in Nelson on almost nothing for 8 years of my life, that you don't actually need a lot to survive. I think I lived on $1,600 a month for a long time and actually had money to spare.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the bar a lot.
Yeah.
Bought a jug of beer for the table, and then everyone else did too. Boy, let me tell you, there's a lot of beer there all of a sudden. So, you know what I mean? It's like in a community, when you have community and the support of each other to get through things as opposed to the support of money to get through things, being isolated and being able to be alone all the time, you're forced into a community environment which forces you to live in community consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need a lot.
I agree with that. Because you get from others what
you're contributing. Need. Yeah, you're contributing in ways that don't require you to pay them money or they pay you money, but things are getting done anyway.
And like you said, I don't know if listeners know this, people are doing that right now. There are huge communities, across the world who are doing exactly that.
Yep.
Some successful, some not, but they are doing it. So it's not like a myth. Like this is happening.
I kind of misunderstood. I thought that the Tesla people were a community.
I did too.
The community, and what I realized is that the Tesla community is broken up into factions.
Mm.
And some of the factions are so finite they're actually individuals. And others are like groups like in the Tesla Science Center, and they're interested in their agenda and their needs more than cooperating with me or anybody else on anything else. But they're still within that Tesla community overall. Mm-hmm. And then there are people who are there that are also interested in sort of flittering. It's like a high school. I was always the guy in high school who was in all the different cliques. I never was in one. I flipped from all of them. I knew the top person, if you will, in all of them. So I was allowed in all of them, but I didn't just stay into that nucleus.
Uh-huh.
That's my type of person. That's who I am. I go from one nucleus to the other. Other people stay in their nucleus.
That's similar to me. I've always been, dabbling in here and there. I like to learn. I like to meet people and different things. So that's what I'm into.
What I find, in order to get things done, you need to be in a nucleus of some kind. And I'm not. So that was part of the reason I think that things didn't work out for the Tesla Kickstarter, or haven't yet anyway. And I wasn't tapped in already. They didn't trust me. They didn't know me. They're humans, right? They don't know me. They don't know what my agenda is. They may not think of me as a man in black, but they might be worried about how it might impact their fundraising capabilities, or cooperation with me might sidetrack their efforts, take away. These are natural human fears, but they're conditioned fear. This is the point we go back to. They're conditioned.
Yeah.
We have been conditioned to mistrust each other because there are a few apples out there who will actively seek to disrupt and screw people over. And it's those few people that make everyone else distrust everybody.
I agree.
And I think it's really hard to find those apples because those apples change all the time.
Yeah.
There have been times in my life when I've been that guy.
But that's
times in most people's lives when they've been that person too.
But that's
so
when
really,
you come
what does it boil
back.
down? It boils down to they don't trust themselves.
No, I
They
agree.
can't trust the universe. It's all trust. It's all trust.
It has to do with trust, and I'm, really glad that I trusted. It was like, hey, I'm gonna support this, and not even like it wasn't even a second thought, honestly. When I read like the backers you had and what your goal was like, this is a Kickstarter that totally needs to happen. Like I was on board, and I already been, like I said, a huge Tesla fan forever. So I was just like, I expected the community to back it. I did. And I still do. I still have hope. Maybe they'll understand, like, through this podcast, through other things, that, what, it's bigger than just individual. It's a community. It's us. We're representing Tesla now. Tesla's not here. So let's do it right.
Well, there's a lot of people who don't like that either. I have a sort of a friend here in town where I live. He and I connected over a personal issue that he had. He asked me for help, so I gave it to him as best as I could. Sometimes I don't think he liked it. We can't be there for all people in all ways. Anyway, he knew about my Tesla campaign, and previous to launching the Kickstarter, we were on social media pretty active, sending out posts, trying to get a following. And I used to do these things where I would say, this is Tesla approved.
Okay.
This post is Tesla approved. Right? I would say that.
Okay.
Well, he didn't like that. He thought I was speaking for somebody who was dead. He had these very, very high-minded, altruistic ideas about why that was wrong. And he got so wrapped up emotionally and psychologically in trying to show me that was wrong, he didn't even back my campaign.
Wow. That's a bummer.
You see what I mean? Like, the people are just so wrapped up in these, like, little things that don't matter.
I told people, like off of Facebook, I'm like, hey, check this out. This is really worth backing. And people who are supportive of Tesla and everything, and they're like, yeah, like, I don't know what you want. What do you want? I mean, seriously, you sit home and watch TV all day, right? Well, wouldn't you like to learn something? Would you like to see it helping the future of humanity? I don't know. Believe in it. We know it will happen. There's no doubt in my mind. We've gotten this far where it's going to happen. It's going to. I'm telling you. It's going
I'm reading an email I got from somebody. I'm not going to say who it is because they might be listening and I don't want to out them, but it's a very great email I just got this morning. I'm just reading it literally now, so I'll read it to the audience. It's great. After hearing your interview with Aaron, this fellow I was telling you about before, he did a podcast with me.
Yeah.
And reading your most recent update on Kickstarter, which I did, you saw it yesterday.
Yeah.
There are a few things I'd like to share that could help. First, I will tell you that on my end, there's a deep-seated interest within myself to see this happen. We can go over all that later, but 3 things come to mind when I think of this project and how I may be able to help. This is great, right?
Yeah.
So 1, market. The world of Comic-Con is very popular. When thinking of the show, it is to me that it has the feeling of a Doctor Who
Synchronicity, folks.
Only that Dr. Tesla is very real, and so are the technologies that make their world of fantasy reality, as well the characters that surround him. A key person to entering the demographic is Chris Hardwick, so he's going to introduce me to somebody. Cool.
Yeah, no, that's the Nerdist I was telling you about that in the message I sent to you. Nerdist, he's in charge of a podcast called The Nerdist that goes out to not only on BBC America, but also on a huge following on YouTube and really, really big. So that's awesome. Great person to get introduced to.
Well, wait a minute. I'm assuming he's introducing me to him. I'm thinking actually he's not introducing me because he doesn't know the guy, but he's recommending that I get in touch with him.
Still, definitely.
Still,
good.
It's the second time that more than the second time that somebody's mentioned it. It's just I don't know this person. And, they're not just going to answer my email because they probably get 100,000 emails a day.
Yeah.
I'm going to be lost in there. So I need if anybody's out there who can introduce me to Chris Hardwick and introduce this project to Chris Hardwick, please do, because that's how it works.
Awesome.
That's how it works. People introduce each other. I might be able to get introduced to DiCaprio. That would help. If I can get introduced to Chris Hardwick, I mean, it's obvious that his audience thinks that this is a good match. So hopefully that can happen. So I'm just putting it out there, letting God do the work.
Let me throw two more people your way, okay?
Okay.
Soul Pancake, okay? You know about this?
No, I don't know.
Okay, Rainn Wilson from The Office.
Okay.
He created this whole social media site basically to be more like spiritual and stuff, so people can interact and everything. But so he may be someone you might want to try to figure out how to get a hold of, along with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who worked with Leo, because he has the Hit Record.
Yeah, Hit Record's pretty cool.
So
I like him, and I like his movies. He's into stuff that's interesting and I think relevant. Like he did that movie Don John.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
It's pretty good. It's a straightforward look at the impact of pornography on a male's individual ability to be intimate in a relationship. But it's actually pretty cool. It's wrapped up in, sexy kind of veneer, but really that's what it is. It's cool. A parable on pornography. And it's just a good film, and he's that's good cool. at it. So he's obviously doing things that are from his heart, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So back to this letter. So number 2, social media, victors and spoils, a pioneer in social media marketing and advertising, crowdsourcing. Having contact with them in the past, I believe they would have much insight. Clients include Adidas, JCPenney, et cetera, just name a few. Funding, as I stated before, there's a deep-seated, and this is the part that'll be interesting for you guys. Funding, as I stated before, there's a deep-seated interest and need to make this happen for a few reasons. So he's really into this. That being said, I'm involved with an advanced material manufacturer. He gives me the name. I'm not going to name it here. And an intellectual property company. Again, I'm not going to name the name of the company just for the fact of privacy for this person who wrote me this email. But it's a firm that owns a portion of my intellectual property when pertaining to energy efficiency and power-producing systems and design. In this work, I have designed a methane-to-power design using several Tesla patents. And I figure if Marconi stole 17 of them to patent radio, I could borrow a few to combat methane emissions, the number one leading contribution to greenhouse gases. Commission from sale of materials that are of intense advanced nature and not quite quickly adopted into mainstream, so the struggle. We are currently working with a major group in adapting these materials. When this happens, I will contribute financially of my own. And it sounds like he wants to do a big chunk. So this leads me to another longer-term funding strategy. Among the materials we offer is a crystal clear spray bed liner material. Here's a brief excerpt from a magazine article about the technology. So anyway, I'm getting these messages, right? And this person gives me his contact information and everything. It's kind of cool. I really enjoy so far. I mean, the early going working on this Kickstarter was just a kick in the heart. Talk about the heart being a brain.
True.
My brain was hurting.
Oh, man. That's good.
My brain was hurting. I woke up. I felt like I was waking up into a nightmare every morning, and I wanted the Kickstarter to be over and done with because I just couldn't stand the fact of waking up another day and beating my brains against this wall that I knew was not going to budge. So I very early on had to resolve to the fact that this is just a commercial now for another Kickstarter or another fundraising or